the Chi-Town experience on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.
Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears are being urged to bring in this former Super Bowl champion. Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. First and foremost, to every single one of you Bears fans out there, happy Memorial Day, and I hope you guys have a really good long weekend. Hope you guys enjoy maybe some cool weather, maybe some swimming with the family, some good barbecue food with the family as well. But want to make sure I wish a happy Memorial Day to every single Keek on the Mic and Bears fan out there. I also want to give a huge shout out to the Bear Down Breakdown podcast for having me on today. That podcast is now live on YouTube, and I'll post the link to that podcast in the description of today's video. Once again, huge shout out to the host of the Bear Down Breakdown podcast. Make sure you guys go check out that episode with me on it on YouTube right now. So Bears fans, it sounds that Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears are urged to add yet another player prior to the start of training camp. And as we've talked about before, right here on the podcast, Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears have been very busy this offseason, really flipping this roster. On paper, this Bears team looks like they can make the playoffs as soon as this year and really even be pretty competitive within the NFC North. Of course, they really bolstered the offense and defensive line by adding guys like Joe Thuney and Grady Jarrett and Dayo Dangbo and Drew Dahlman and Jonah Jackson. Then they go into the NFL draft and draft Aji Trapillo. They give Caleb Williams some extra weapons on the outside and Colston Leveland and Luther Burden to add with DJ Moore and Roma Dunze and Cole Kmet and DeAndre Swift. Ryan Poles has done one hell of a job of really flipping this roster and hopefully making them more competitive as they go into the new 2025 NFL season. But I was reading an article on Bleacher Report, and the guys over there at Bleacher Report are really urging Ryan Poles to continue to add at one of these key positions on the roster. Of course, we've talked a lot about the running back position, and with the extra money that we now have with Joe Thuney, maybe that gives them flexibility to go possibly add a guy like Nick Chubb or J.K. Dobbins. And I know there's a lot of Bears fans out there that are kind of 50-50 on Ryan Poles and the Bears adding yet another running back. I know they have DeAndre Swift, and they drafted Kyle Monangai, and we have Roschon Johnson, Travis Homer. But there is a lot of Bears fans that are hoping that, including myself, that are hoping that Ryan Poles goes out and possibly adds a running back. But Bleacher Report thinks that the Chicago Bears should go add an extra edge rusher to the roster, and they're hoping that Ryan Poles and actually urging the Bears to go out and sign Tanoh Kpassagnon, which is an edge rusher, formerly of the New Orleans Saints. And obviously, we've been talking a whole lot about a guy like Trey Hendrickson, and I understand that at this point in time, it probably doesn't make too much sense knowing that we have to give a whole lot of draft capital, and he's also looking towards a big extension. And I will get in a little bit more details on an update about Trey Hendrickson later on in today's episode of Keek on the Mic. But let's go ahead and talk about Tanoh Kpassagnon. There's always pros and cons to every single player, so we'll go ahead and break down Tanoh Kpassagnon on today's episode of Keek on the Mic. And let's start off with the pros of Kpassagnon. He has a good mix of size, length, and power. He stands at 6'7", 290 pounds. The measurables of this guy are absolutely elite. He's also pretty good against the run. He actually posted a 7.39 RAS score, so he's a pretty good athlete. Here's what I really do like about Kpassagnon. He has familiarity with Ryan Poles. He was actually drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs in round 2 in the 2017 NFL draft. Ryan Poles was actually the director of college scouting at the time. So obviously Kpassagnon and Ryan Poles have that familiarity back with their Kansas City Chief days. And of course, he also played under Dennis Allen with the Saints for 4 seasons. Actually had a pretty good year under Dennis Allen in 2023. He posted 34 pressures and only 294 pass rush snaps. And obviously in 2019, actually helped the Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl with 40 pressures and 4 sacks. So to me, once again, good athlete, 6'7", 290 pounds, has really good measurables. And obviously it doesn't hurt that you have familiarity with both Ryan Poles and Dennis Allen. Here are some of the cons about Tanoh Kpassagnon. He turns 31 in June. He actually tore his Achilles before the 2024 season, only played in 3 games last year. And obviously he should be fully recovered and should be good to go. But I do want to add that he did tear his Achilles before the 24 season, has never had more than 4 sacks in a single NFL season. And he has been in the NFL for 8 seasons now. So that's obviously kind of a turn off at times when, you have a guy that hasn't broke the barrier of 4 sacks. So when you look at Tanoh Kpassagnon, Bears fans, overall, if he is healthy, he could be a very dependable backup for the Chicago Bears defensive line. Productive rotational player. Plus, he could be a cheap add as well. And this could obviously be a fallback plan. Let's say Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears do make an aggressive move to go add a guy like Trey Hendrickson, and it doesn't work out for them. This could be a fallback plan just to bring in yet another guy on this defensive line and just be a solid rotational add. And he could also, once again, be a very cheap addition to the Chicago Bears football team. And it definitely helps, once again, that he has familiarity with both Dennis Allen and Ryan Poles. You look at what Ryan Poles has been able to accomplish this offseason, especially on the defensive side of the football. They added Dayo Odeyingbo, and obviously he has positional versatility to play inside and outside. Obviously, they invested in the NFL draft as well by drafting Shamar Turner, and also obviously he has positional versatility playing inside and outside. They added Grady Jarrett. They're getting Andrew Billings back. Javon Dexter came back looking very lean, so he's going to probably be playing some defensive end as well. So they're not really looking for a full-time starter, I would assume, right? Especially with the addition of Dayo Odeyingbo. Of course, if they're able to land a guy like Trey Hendrickson, he would be the big-time starter opposite of Montez Sweat. So once again, they're just looking for a rotational guy, a guy that can bring in valuable reps, a guy that has the measurements that they're looking for, 6'7", 290. Tanoh Kpassagnon would be a very good option. He would be a plug-and-play guy due to his familiarity with Dennis Allen. Personally, even though he did tear his Achilles prior to the 2024 season, that doesn't really deter me because it's not like you're going to have to pay big bucks to bring him over here to Chicago. I think it would be a pretty good fit, just adding yet another camp body, bringing in more competition on this defensive line. Obviously, Ben Johnson is kind of preaching competition among all the whole roster here in Chicago. So overall, even though he's 31 towards Achilles, he hasn't broken the 4 sack per season barrier, right? I still think it would be a pretty good add for the Chicago Bears. And I just wanted to bring this to you guys' attention because this is what I saw from a recent article out of Bleacher Report, that they're urging the Chicago Bears to add this guy into Tanoh Kpassagnon. So Bears fans, how do you guys feel about Tanoh Kpassagnon? Do you think it would be a good addition for Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears? Let me know down below in the comment section. Before I let you guys go on today's episode of Keek on the Mic, I also want to give you guys a quick update on the Trey Hendrickson saga going on. According to Jeff Hughes of the Bears blog, in a recent article, you guys know how much I love Jeff Hughes and how much I trust him with some key information in regard to the Chicago Bears. He gave some slight updates on how real of the possibility of the Bears actually landing Trey Hendrickson. And he actually said that the Bears are one of the 15 teams within the National Football League that are interested in Hendrickson. And he feels that they wouldn't make a move for Trey Hendrickson unless it's the middle of the season, and if they were actually playing good football this season. So let's say the Bears by the trade deadline are at 6-2 and they look like the real deal. They look like they need one more player to get them over the hump. Then they would go out and make that aggressive move for the star pass rusher from the Cincinnati Bengals, which seems like a pretty solid plan, because at this point, it seems like you don't want to put all those resources into adding one more player where you don't even know what your team is going to look like. Of course, the Bears look good on paper, but doesn't mean it's going to translate onto the football field this season. That's obviously the hope, but right now the Bears only look good on paper. So I definitely agree with Jeff Hughes' assessment. If the Bears come out and by the trade deadline that they're looking really good, they're looking like they're only a Trey Hendrickson player away from being hopefully an NFC championship contender, or maybe even a Super Bowl contender, then I can see Ryan Poles saying, you know what, we're going to go all out and go land the star pass rusher from the Cincinnati Bengals. So do you guys think that would be a better plan to possibly wait until the trade deadline, if he is still there, then go make the aggressive move for the star edge rusher? Or do you think the Chicago Bears should go all in right now and make the trade right now? Let me know down below in the comment section. But as always, Bears fans, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Geek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, be back for all new Bears podcast right here on Geek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic.